Jai Baba, everyone. I'm so delighted to be joining you. I wish I could be there with you in person, but I'm very happy to be invited to be part of your wonderful gathering. And let me say thank you to all who organized this gathering. How blessed you are that Baba has given you that opportunity to do his work, to bring people together in his love. And how blessed you all are to be in that most sacred place of Meherabad in person, sharing Baba. What a wonderful thing. And I'm picturing it and just wishing I could be amongst you. But let me show you the picture that I will be looking at off to the side as I record this message for you. It is beloved Baba as a young adult, well, perhaps a very young adult, and a beautiful, beautiful shot of Baba. And I'm going to be picturing him sitting in your midst as you are there sharing in his love. I love your theme. How can we become more aware of Meher Baba's oneness within? So beautiful. And Rumi explains how in just 2 lines. Rumi says, "When I am not. When I am not, I am. When I am not. When I am not, I am." Or, as beloved Baba puts it, when you go, I come. When you go, I come. Now, I had a glimpse of this truth once, early in my life, and that shaped my life from that time on. So I'm going to share that story with you in the present tense because it's, to me, a story that's still happening right now. And I want to share it with you because it is, I hope, right on the theme that you are thinking about and talking about and sharing while you're there together with Baba at Meherabad. And the glimpse I had was of this truth that Baba gave, that you and I, he said, are not we, but one. And this happened at the East-West Gathering when I was in 1962, November 1962, when I was 13 years old. Yes, I'm old. I can hear some of you doing the math in your head. Yes, it was almost 60 years ago. But since some of you have probably been with Baba for many lifetimes, some of you were no doubt there with me at that East-West Gathering. So it happened like this. It is midday on the second day of the darshan, and we are all taking a lunch break after a morning with Baba. Sitting on the veranda of the Turf Club in Pune, that's the place that Baba designated for my family to stay while we were with him at the darshan. I overhear several young girls talking excitedly about walking early the next morning to Guru Prasad. Not only will they arrive long before anyone else, but they will also be first in line when the doors open for the darshan. The Westerners had darshan inside in the mornings. Determined not to lose my spot next to Baba, because I always tried to rush and get the spot next to Baba, sitting next to his knee on the floor. I asked the girls, can I accompany him? And only if you get permission, they tell me. We asked Mira, and she said yes. So if there's anyone that can grant exemption from the rule, Baba's order, not to arrive before the appointed time, it is, of course, Mira, Baba's beloved. So they were smart. Now, since men at that time cannot speak to Mira or even be in her presence, I feel stymied. During lunch, I barely eat, struggling to come up with a plan. Then it hits me. If Mera can give permission, then perhaps Erich can as well. After all, he is, at least it seems to me, the closest of the men disciples. Better still, Erich will be on the platform this afternoon during the darshan. Maybe during a break in the program, I can take him aside and ask for his help. Now, the plan seems far-fetched because Erich is constantly busy caring for Baba, but I can think of no alternative. When we return to Guru Prasad that afternoon, I'm filled with anxiety about approaching Erich. What if I take him away from his duties? Will I disturb Baba? But the idea of losing my front row seat the next morning steals my nerves. I am, always have been, a shy, self-conscious, and introverted child. Few things are more difficult for me than going on stage in front of thousands of people. So I stand on the side of the platform, watching Baba give darshan. Erich, as usual, is by his side, adjusting the pillows on his chair, reaching down to remove garlands and fruit placed at his feet, wiping his brow when needed, translating gestures whenever Baba pauses the line to speak to one of his lovers. I am struck by how seamlessly Erich anticipates Baba's every need. He appears to move instinctively as though he is in tune with Baba's rhythm. At one point, Baba holds up his hand to stop the darshan lines. Women on one side, men on the other. Baba signals for the musicians gathered on stage to begin the bhajans. Erich takes a few steps back from Baba and stands alone with his arms crossed. Now is my chance. I quickly go up the steps on the side of the platform and run over to Erich. In a rush of words, I explain my dilemma and ask if he can give me permission to walk early to Guru Prasad the next day. Erich looks at me and says nothing for a long, uncomfortable moment. Is this a mistake, I wonder? Should I not have asked? After all, it is Baba's order that we arrive at a certain time. Finally, Erich shrugs his shoulders and, looking helpless, says, "What can I do? It is not for me to answer. If you want permission, you must ask him." My heart nearly stops. What have I done? "Go," Erich says, pointing to Baba. "Ask him." With legs shaking, palms wet, I cross the short distance with Erich by my side and stand next to Baba. Erich says to Baba, "Charles has a question." Baba looks at me expectantly. "Baba," I begin, but the words will not come. So I start stammering, something about walking early with a group of girls. Seeing my discomfort, Erich rescues me by speaking to Baba in Gujarati, no doubt giving a coherent version of what I'm trying to ask. When I finish my question, Baba looks at me with a very serious expression on his face. Then he looks up at Erich and shrugs his shoulders as if to say, "What to do?" Suddenly, I am conscious of thousands of eyes staring at me likely wondering what weighty matter I had brought before Baba. And Baba prolongs the agony by stroking his chin as though this was the most difficult decision imaginable. Finally, Baba looks at me and with an emphatic gesture says, "Granted." Only then do Baba and Erich break out into enormous smiles. I realize that Baba is enjoying this drama, teasing a very shy and serious boy on an urgent errand. I smile with happiness and great relief. To seal the deal, Baba beckons me into his arms for a warm embrace. As dawn breaks the next morning, our little troop heads out for Guru Prasad. The girls seem to know the way as we navigate winding streets in a residential neighborhood of Pune. After a brisk walk, I guess of about 30 minutes, we see the entrance to the garden surrounding Guru Prasad. Without crowds of people lining up to take darshan and various booths set up with Baba's books and photos, the garden is serene and lovely in the cool morning air. We walk quietly up the steps to the veranda. From behind a side door, someone signals for the girls to enter. Mera is expecting them. And although they do not say much about it, I gather they are to have tea with the women mandali. Now, I'm just as happy to be left alone outside the large French doors, the entryway to the hall where we will soon be with Baba. I will be first in line. After a few moments, I'm curious to glimpse what the space is like when empty. I gently lift the cloth curtain covering the doors and peek inside. To my great surprise, I see Baba sitting motionless on the sofa at the far end of the room. He has already arrived and is waiting for us. Worried that I might be disturbing Baba, I quickly put the curtain back in its place and step back from the entrance. At that moment, Rano Gailey, one of the women mandali, enters the veranda from a side door and comes over to me. "Charles," she says without any introduction, "Baba wants you to say good morning to him." And then she goes back inside, leaving me standing there a bit stunned. Somehow, I have the presence of mind to take off my shoes before opening the doors to the hall where Baba is seated. I look across the room, and Baba is looking directly at me. No one else is present. No mandali, no interpreter, no devotees, no one. For the first time, I am completely alone with Baba. To say good morning, as Baba has asked, I need to walk across the expanse of what suddenly seems like a very large room. Slowly, I make my way toward Baba under his steady gaze. I am so self-conscious that my legs feel shaky, and I have to will myself to put one foot in front of the other. It is, I later decide, the longest walk of my life. After what seems like an eternity, I finally reach Baba and stand before him. I remember why I am there and manage to say, "Good morning, Baba." Baba smiles and nods his head. I look into Baba's eyes. He looks into mine. Nothing is said. I have no words, and Baba, of course, is silent. No one is there to interpret his gestures. As Baba stares intently into my eyes, I find myself dissolving under his loving gaze. My mind empties. I am there, but not there. Only Baba is in the room. Later, I struggle to find words to describe Baba in that moment. All-encompassing comes close, but still falls short. Alone with the one who alone exists. A timeless experience that becomes the touchstone of my life. A constant source of renewal and conviction, sustaining me through chaos and confusion. How long do I stand before Baba? I have no idea. At some point, Baba breaks the spell by opening his arms. I bend down into his embrace, inhaling his familiar, sweet fragrance. Then Baba gestures, time to go. Feeling dazed, I somehow manage to back out of Baba's presence and return to the veranda. God alone is real, Meherabad tells us. All else is illusion. In that moment alone with him, I felt deep in my heart, when I am not, I am. When I go, Baba comes. Baba alone exists. So how can I go? How can I go? Baba says you can't. All you can do is hold on to his Dhamma. Stick with him and be aware that life with Baba is a losing game. Life with Baba is a losing game. You go, I go, he comes. If we hold on to him, he tells us, Baba will take everything that is false and give only what is real. In that wonderful message, the highest of the high, Baba says, know you all that if I am the highest of the high, my role demands that I strip you of your possessions and wants, consume all your desires, and make you desireless rather than satisfy your desires. Sadhus, saints, yogis, walis can give you what you want, but I take away your wants and free you from attachments and liberate you from the bondage of ignorance. I am the one to take, not the one to give what you want as you want. Through love, Baba takes everything, sometimes without us even knowing it. We don't even realize it until later. And eventually it leaves only him. Being, Baba says, being is dying by loving. But of course, we keep personality. We keep who we are because Baba works through that. You know, all of the great ones that I've known in my life, I grew up with Elizabeth and Kitty, two of the most extraordinary human beings I've ever known, who lived with Baba in India and then served him so much in the West. So I grew up with them, and of course I was blessed to know Erich and Mani and my beloved Pindu. You know, one day when someone complained about, some Baba lovers doing this or Baba lovers doing that, Elizabeth looked at us and she said, well, all I can say is, if you think we're bad now, you should have seen us before Baba. She was still Elizabeth, right? Kitty was still Kitty, but without selfishness. Transparent to him. Baba using that personality, all those quirks, all those things that make up who a person is, an individual, wonderful person, right? Baba uses it all. The only thing that is different is that all of that is for him. They didn't think about putting Baba first by the time I knew them. They just did it. It was automatic because they were no more. What is to think about? You see, by the end, Elizabeth, Kitty, Erich, Mani, Pindu, and all the others, they had lost everything, only to gain everything. Baba did that. Baba did that. He tells us, you are Baba. You're nothing else. You may think you're all these other things, but you are always one with him because you are him. Becoming aware of that oneness within is his game. It's not your game, it's his game. Oh, but how can I do that in the midst of my busy life, my job, my relationships, school, money, health? Baba says, why not think of your life as like a film that I'm producing? I'm the producer. It's like a film taken long ago. You're playing your part. You're following your script. You may think, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm making decisions, what do I do? No. It's the film unfolding that he has taken. So look at it. But don't say this is life, or this is real, or this is, oh my gosh, everything depends on this or that. No. If you go to the movies, you don't think so. You may get caught up in the film, and we should. You get caught up, you get deep emotion and you feel it, but you don't. Maybe for a moment you lose sight that it isn't real, but you in the end, you leave the movie house and you saw a movie. Just like the dream you had last night. You don't wake up and say, oh, that was my life. No, it was a dream. And this is your dream. This is your film. And Baba says, yes, to become aware that I am you, that my oneness within you, play your part well. Be natural, be honest, be loving, live it out. But always keep in the back of your mind, this is all Baba's. This is all Baba's. But wait, my ego is there all the time telling me, no, it's mine, it's this, it's that. Baba says, yeah, this is hard. How can I eliminate that ego? Isn't that the goal? And Baba says, you can't eliminate the ego. Only I can do that. That's what he says. We do nothing. He does everything. Our job is to become more aware that we do nothing, which is freeing, which is liberating, because there's nothing to worry about. So the focus should be, as Baba says in his wish, to always keep in the back of the mind, whatever your situation's in. Baba has placed me in this situation, and it's just something that I'm going through. It isn't me. It isn't real. So we should be grateful, Baba says, that when you're happy, you feel Baba wants me to be happy. When you're suffering, feel Baba wants me to suffer. Whatever happens, whatever is coming in our lives is a gift from him. The good, the bad, the ugly, it's all a gift. And we should thank Baba every day for all the joyful things, for the illness, for the pain. It's all the same. It's all a gift. And the more grateful we are, the more we experience the drama of our life with joy. We experience that our life is a drama filled with joy. And we should never worry, because through love, Baba will grind down our false self. We do not have to worry about that. We do not have to worry about getting rid of this sanskara or that sanskara. Baba, that's Baba's department. Our job is to be happy, to love him, to remember not to worry, and to accept life as a gift. Now, again, Baba says, you cannot do this. It takes my grace. You go, I come, requires great love, love that is only possible through his grace. At breakfast one morning at Meherabad, in May 1937, these notes were recorded by Nadine Tolstoy, who was there, about how to receive his grace. And at that time, Baba said, what is love? To give and never to ask. What leads to this love? Grace. What leads to this grace? Grace is not cheaply bought, Baba says. It is gained by being always ready to serve and reluctant to be served. There are many points, Baba added, which lead to this grace. Wishing well for others at the cost of one's own self. Never backbiting. Tolerance supreme. Trying not to worry. Trying not to worry, Baba says, is almost impossible, so try. Thinking more of the good points in others and less of their bad points. What else leads to this grace? Doing all of the above, Baba says. Is this difficult? It seems, but Baba will bring it about naturally, not to worry. Hold on, and he will bring it about naturally. Stay with him, and eventually you will be no more. Only he will remain. And so let me end with that beautiful image that Erich gave us. And I know many of you have heard and know this story, but I'll tell it as Erich told it to me. One day, when I was complaining to him about how hard things were and life and this and that, and I said, Erich, have you ever thought that you would just walk away from all this? Did you ever get so frustrated at yourself that you would just leave? He thought for a moment. He said, yeah, one time. And it happened that after the new life, when they came back to Meherabad, Erich was exhausted. He loved the new life, but it was very tiring. It wore him out. Very difficult conditions, traveling around, begging for food, sleeping anywhere, and all that. It was a wonderful life, Erich said, but it was very difficult. So when he got back to Meherabad, he was very tired. And Baba called him one day and asked him to go with him to the West in 1952. Baba planned this trip to the West. And Erich said, Baba, why not take these other ones, Baba, these other Mandli people. I am exhausted, Baba. Really, I would not be any help to you. I am so exhausted. And Baba says, what is this? I ask you to go with me to the West, and you tell me you're exhausted. Why are you here if you cannot do what I want? Like that. And Erich, in his exhaustion, he just said, Baba, you are so right. Yeah, you are so right, Baba. Why am I here if I can't do this? Yeah, you are right, Baba. And he left Baba's presence. He went out some distance away. And he said, Baba is so right. If I can't even do this for him now, what good is it that I'm here? What good is it? I should just leave this place right now. Leave. And so he looked around, he's determined to leave. So he began to gather up some of his, few things that he had, his possessions, some chapels, some clothes, things like that. And he lifted them up to get ready to pack them and all that, the blanket. And he looked at this blanket and he said, no, it would not be right to take this. This belongs to Baba. So I will leave this. And then he gathered his shirts together like that. And he looked at them and he said, oh, no, Baba has given me these shirts. These belong to him. How can I take these? They're not mine. So he said, all right, I will leave them. The same with his pants that he had there. This pile of, he said, no, these were, he says, I remember Baba gave me this and he gave me that. And I remember the things Baba has given. I can't take it. These belong to him. They don't belong to me. They're all his. And this went on as he said, I determined to leave, but what could he do? He kept putting things aside, and finally he said, oh, even these clothes that I am wearing now, they belong to him. I can't even wear these clothes. And he said, well, if need be, I will leave this place with nothing, naked. And then Erich looked at his body. And he says, yeah, all these years, this is his also. This is his. How can I take it? It is not mine. It's all his. It's all his. How can I leave? I am nothing without him. I am nothing without him. I'm nothing without him. And just then, one of the other mandali came and said, Erich, Baba wants to see you. So he went to Baba, and Baba said, Erich, you don't have to go to the West. It's all right. But I want you in Pindu instead to go all around Andhra and all that and prepare for my coming, for my darshan in these places. And Erich said, oh God, what have I done? At least if I had gone to the West, I would be with him. But this is so hard. This would be such, to speak in front of people which he had never done, to do all that, so much more difficult. But what can you say except, yes, Baba, if that's what you want. As Erich said many times, be determined to be his, and he will make it happen. He will make it happen. When I go, he comes. When you go, he comes. When we go, he comes. Jai Baba, everyone. Jai Baba.